everybody. So time for this week's Facebook Live, and I am coming to you to talk about 3 quick ways that you can change your attitude, that you can overcome overwhelm, you can get stuff done and feel better, combat those anxious feelings that you might get as well. Hey, if you don't know me, I'm Motzek. I'm a life coach and I'm a business coach to coaches. And every Thursday I do a Facebook Live with a little bit of training, always down to earth, practical stuff. And so I'm really, really glad that you're here. So let's dive into these 3 tips. And I want you to know they're quick and they're easy. You don't need to do anything, it's not expensive, it's not complicated, you don't have to set aside a ton of time, but these things really, really work. And so I thought, gosh, it's the perfect thing to share with you. If you are a life coach and you are considering how to get started, you don't know what the next step is, or maybe you've been thinking about becoming a life coach, I would encourage you to download that free PDF that I've got in the comments. It's a guide that you can follow along and learn more about it. But let's talk about these things. These tips are great for anybody at any time in your life. They're great for kids, teenagers, you at work, you in your business, however. So the first tip is if you are feeling overwhelmed and anxious, just pause for a minute and breathe. And when I say breathe, I'm talking about conscious diaphragmatic breathing. So what does that mean? I like to help people breathe consciously, and it's an amazing thing that after just really just a few minutes, sometimes not even as long as a few minutes, sometimes just a minute, just this one action can make a huge amount of difference to how calm you're feeling. When you're feeling calm, you're not as overwhelmed. Then you can get your executive decision-making part of your brain will start to take root, and you can start to have thoughts, you can start to be constructive about what's going on instead of relying on your primal brain and that overwhelmed, scared feeling that you're getting. So when I'm talking about this kind of breathing, what do I mean? I would suggest that you inhale for the count of 4. I usually do it through my nose, so you would inhale through the count of 4. You pause at the top of the breath just for a couple of seconds, and then you exhale slowly for the count of 4 and pause at the bottom of the breath and then repeat. People will say to me, how often do I need to do this? How many times do I need to do this breathing? And I think that everybody is a little bit different. But what I would suggest is that you start with trying 4 of them, because you're inhaling for 4, you're pausing at the top, you're exhaling for 4, and you're pausing at the bottom. It's kind of like 4 by 4, so let's start with 4 breaths and see how you feel. At the end of those 4 breaths, just pause and ask yourself, so how am I feeling now? Do I feel a little calmer? Do I feel a little bit more centered, a little bit more settled? And if you are, then you know you're on the right path. And if it's not quite enough, do another round of 4. You can do a round of 4 breathing in less than a minute, so it's like the perfect little thing that you can do. If you're driving your kids to school and you're feeling kind of anxious, upset, they're doing stuff that's really getting on your nerves and you just haven't quite got your head screwed on straight, you can do that while you're driving them to school. And it's going to change how you feel, it's going to change how you interact with them, and it's going to make a real impact on your day. So, breathing. Conscious diaphragmatic breathing, and I'm not talking about the breathing where you're like panting and your shoulders are up around your ears. I'm talking about the breathing where if you were to put your hand on your belly, you would feel your stomach expand and then go in. So pushing your hand out gently as you're inhaling, pausing at the top, and then as you exhale, you'd feel your stomach going in. So 4 times, 4 counts in, pause at the top of the breath, and 4 counts out. Love to hear what your thoughts are on that when you've given it a try. The second quick way to overcome anxious feelings, to get out of that feeling of overwhelm, to change your attitude, is to go for a tech-free walk in nature. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking 10 minutes. I'm not talking an hour-long walk. Put on your shoes. If it's a cool day, grab your jacket. If you need to, put your hat and your gloves on. Oh, there goes Tofino. She wants to go out for her walk now. She must have heard that word. And get outside in greenery. If you're in the city, go to a park. If you're out in the country or in the suburbs, it might be a little bit easier for you to find a green spot to walk. You're looking for a place that has trees, that has grass, that has plants, that has water. So you could go to the beach if you're on the ocean. You could go to the lake. You can go walk by a creek or by a river. You can go to the forest. You can go to a meadow. Anywhere where there is nature, birds and animals, and you go, turn your phone off. Pop it in your pocket if you have to. If you can, leave your phone in your car and go for a 10-minute walk. And while you're walking, all you got to do is just notice what's happening around you. What's happening? Are the birds singing? What is it breezy out? What the temperature is like? What's the light like on the trees? Is there light on the branches of the trees that's interesting? Is there an interesting scent in the air? Right now we're in the middle of spring, so lots of great flowering trees and wildflowers happening when I'm out walking. 10 minutes of just walking without listening to an audiobook, without listening to a podcast, without checking your phone for a text, without responding to a text or taking a phone call. 10 minutes of walking. It's elemental. It is part of our natural way of being, and it will help to calm you down. It'll help you to feel so much better, so much more centered. You'll be able to get over that feeling of discomfort that you've got. So that's the second tip. The third tip is to grab some paper, some lined paper if you like, or you can grab a journal if you like, and a pen. And I want you to spend 5 minutes writing about what's going on with you, what's happening. People think journaling is difficult, and it doesn't have to be. When I'm talking about journaling and a way to get yourself over feeling, tongue twister, get yourself past feeling overwhelmed, what I'm talking about is a pen and paper, and at the top of the page you can write, this is what's on my mind, ... And then you just start writing all the things that are swirling through your head, the worries, the things that you've got to do, how you feel about them, what's going on about them, what's making you feel how you're feeling. Capture those thoughts. Just basically take every thought that's in your head and write it onto paper. Do it for 5 minutes. See how you feel. This thing about getting the thoughts out of your mind and onto paper is so powerful. First, there is a connection between your hand, the pen, and the paper as you're writing it. It helps you to process it. Second, when you can look at your thoughts on paper, you can realize that even though you felt like maybe you had a million things to do, and that was one of the reasons that you were feeling overwhelmed, maybe you realize there's really only 2 or 3 things that are really bugging you. And that's the thing that's contributing to your overwhelm. If you're feeling upset, mad, angry, scared about something, and you write it down, you capture it, then you can look at those thoughts and say, is this really something for me to be scared of? Or is this just me worrying, being in the habit of worrying, being in the habit of always feeling nervous? There's a lot of power in getting the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. So those are the 3 things. The first is breathing. 4 counts of 4 inhale, pause at the top, 4 counts of exhale. Repeat that 4 times and see how you feel. So conscious breathing is the first way. The second is turn off your phone and go for a 10-minute nature walk without any distractions. Notice what's going on around you. Notice the air, notice the plants. Get in touch with nature. That'll help you feel way more grounded and way more calm and centered in your body. And the third way is to journal, and to do it in a very, very simple way for 5 minutes. Get some plain paper or some lined paper and a pen. I would suggest you do that instead of doing keyboard or phone or dictating what's going on. Handwriting, here's what's on my mind, and fill up as much paper as you need to fill up, and then look at it and go, really, is this everything that's bugging me? Do I need to add something more here? But just allow that clearing out of your thoughts to bring you to a place where you just feel a heck of a lot more comfortable. So those are the 3 things that I wanted to share with you today. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're finding it useful. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye.